Good afternoon, everyone. All right, so I think what I picked up today was the topic which has been for the day, and that is Digital Bharat and unlimited potential of that Digital Bharat. And really privileged to be here and talking to you about this particular topic. This program was launched about 5 to 6 years ago by our Honorable Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi, and it basically had three topics underneath. One, connectivity everywhere for everyone. Then number two, e-governance for everyone in India. And number three, digital literacy. So with that three topics, I think it's really fabulous to see where we have reached today and what kind of results which we have got. I know that these are simple numbers, but there are quite a few things which have gone through these simple numbers. If you talk about the e-commerce part, going up to about 83 billion kind of a business being done on e-commerce in India. UPI, who would have thought 5 years ago or 6 years ago that aapka wo pan wala, nukkad mein chai wala, they will have a facility for accepting digital payment. I don't think, at least I didn't think of it. Maybe I had limited brain, but I never thought about it. And today we have about 38 billion kind of transactions which are happening using UPI platform. To such an extent that quite a few countries globally have been now considering this as the payment model. Aadhaar, again, the largest identity program globally, and at the same time working for the humanity, working for our Indian people. We have seen the largest vaccination which has happened during these COVID times. And I know to make this happen, and that there have been quite a bit of ecosystem players which have contributed to it. And but with these results, it is definitely a global success story. We have to be feeling proud that it is really a success story, not at India level, not at Asia Pacific level, but at a global level with this particular scale. And as I said, yeah, quite a few players who have contributed to it, but one specific thing which has made it work has been the mobile broadband, which again Matthew and Randeep talked about it, mobile broadband enabled by 4G. And I really feel proud to be with Nokia that we were number one in providing that connectivity infrastructure, which moved the number of subscribers which are there on 4G and mobile broadband from about 200 million to now about 750 million. That's 2/3 of the subscribers which India has today. So great journey, and I think the potential has been achieved. But at the same time, I think it is now time to sit back and see what next. With, again, the successful launch of 5G which has happened today, I would say we are again sitting on a digital inflection point. And digital inflection point with this 5G plus. Now this is not kind of 5G advanced I am talking about. When I say 5G plus, it is basically 5G and all the technologies which go with it, whether artificial intelligence, machine learning, and big data and metaverse and all that. So all that which will happen together to make a big change in India as a country. So now with all the, again, capacity and low latency and all that, the mobile broadband will again still keep on happening. And there I normally say कि शेर के मुंह को खून लग गया, that all the subscribers are so hungry for data that whatever bandwidth you give them, they just consume it. So there, whether it is moving from, let's say, current level of 17 GB per subscribers to 40, 9 by let's say 26 to 100 GB. I think that will happen not on its own, but will happen as a business as usual. But then there is a new paradigm shift which is happening, and new addition which is happening to these services, and that I would say is in the enterprise segment. So this is based on the result of a study which has been done in a very comprehensive way by Nokia Bell Labs, who has looked at that how the enterprise digitization adoption will happen in various industries. On the left side, let me start with the ICT industry and the BFSI, the banking and finance. That's one place, and we also feel it, that digitization has been happening in that at a very good pace over last 5 to 6 years. Whether it is e-commerce, whether it is your banking transaction, whether it is your account opening, your online banking, all that has been happening, and there we have seen digital adoption over last 5 years to be moving from about 15% to now 60%. And again, based on all the scientific way, it has seen a 15x efficiency gain. Okay, 15 time efficiency gain, and we always feel it in our shopping experience and banking experience. Yes, so that I would say again on a good platform, but where I think it is going to make a bigger difference is in the physical leading industry and physical lagging industry. And let me explain what that is. So physical leading basically again is manufacturing, healthcare, where adoption has been a little bit more, and lagging is more on agriculture side and the mining side. So on physical leading industry, again, digitization adoption, and we see in our factories that most of it is still physical and not moved to the digitized way, other than the top end industry. So whether we talk about some of the vehicle, the car manufacturing industry and all that, maybe you will see some adoption, but there are quite a few industries where adoption is totally low. And there again, as per this study, we see that movement by 4 times. So from about 15% now to about 65% over next 5 years. And similarly on physical lagging, yes, it is even lesser, because all said and done, the farms in India, for example, if we are talking about the agriculture industry, 63% of the farms are owned by farmers who own only less than a 2-acre farm. I mean, with all that limited resources he has, how much he is going to spend on ICT. So there it would be less, but still the improvement would be about 5 times over next 5 years. So all this basically says that yes, the consumption from the consumer point, business as usual, ICT, I would still say it will happen on the pace it is going. It is this physical industry which will start seeing the difference and which will help in efficiency gains, cost reduction using these 5G technologies. And if as of now, if the spend is like 70-30, 30% is basically coming from only physical industry, that 30% of the total share may move to 65%. And this is a new potential which is going to happen, and this is something, again, an inflection point which as India we have to exploit. Okay, and I'm sure that with all the energy behind it, we saw in the room that how 5G is going to bring various benefits, everyone's focus. I am sure that we will see the 5G adoption other than the consumers into this enterprise segment. And again, we talked about this contribution to the economy. Again, very much sure that out of overall 5 trillion economy, maybe 1 trillion is the digital economy. In the morning, we spoke about again that there was one topic which came out, whether we are late in 5G. To some extent, I would agree. Yes, we are late by one or 2 years. Positive and negatives. Positive means that, yeah, technology has become much more stable than now. because it is proven in the field. But another positive is that as India, we know and we saw in the UPI, we saw in the data consumption that once we start, we are on an exponential path. So the rollout which we will have, and I would say again, performing rollout of 5G in India, I would say 3 times faster than whatever we had seen in 4G. And by end of 23, the number of sites which we will have, again, talking about the coverage, will be much more than whatever is there in US, whatever is there in any country in Europe with 5G capability. And that's kind of the speed with which we will be rolling it out. And moving to whatever, 500 million subscribers. I saw the estimates, yes, in 26. I would be maybe a little bit more conservative, saying that, by 2030, we would be able to see 500 million subscribers on 5G here. And of course, the machine-to-machine connectivity, which is going to explode. So all this is going to contribute to at least 50% of the digital economy of 1 trillion, which we are talking about. So 500 billion coming from this 5G and the related technology. And that's where I say that as part of the telecom industry, we should be feeling fortunate, we should be feeling lucky that we are part of this industry. Because no one else is contributing so much to the global economy and so much to whatever aspiration which our Honorable Prime Minister showed in the morning. But yes, it will not happen on its own. And we need to work as partners between the government, with academia, with OTT players, connectivity players. More than any time else in the past, this partnership is required to make it happen. And normally, whoever comes here just gives some advices, good and bad, but there would be some advices from my side. So my 5 mantras for making it successful. One, we spoke about this innovation part. Again, when the 4G started, again, there was similar kind of a skepticism that, other than, let's say, broadband, is there any other use case? Other than kind of surfing on the Google, is there anything else which it gets? And what we saw was over time, the application providers, the service providers did come up, and they brought all the services which were required to kind of again exploit that 4G platform fully. And similar thing, I'm sure that it will happen in 5G. That initially, yes, the use cases could be more mobile broadband, more fixed wireless access, but as you go along, India is, I think I was reading that, 40th on innovation index now. It was about 100 plus 5 years ago. Now we have moved to 40th kind of a number. And with that kind of innovation in the Indian market, with the young population, I am sure that India-based use cases will come, which will help both the consumers, which will increase the efficiency, which will increase improve our way of living going forward. And that's what is required to be done by us. So to some extent, responsibility of every large company here in this forum to nurture these startups, to nurture the kind of youngsters for coming out with these innovative solutions. Second, technology evolution. Again, I think all of you are technology guys, that yes, over time, it is not only the radio capacity which would be required, on the backhaul, on fiberization, on kind of E-band, those kind of technology upgrade would be required to satisfy the need for this more data. Third, I would say enablement. And why I say this is, yes, the government has done immensely well in, let's say, coming out with the 5G auction, coming out with the allocation of the spectrum. So that speed is much better than whatever it was there in the past. And maybe some more fine tuning which is required from the perspective of, let's say, the certification testing and the security testing which the equipment is going through. Similarly, the right of way, there could be a streamlined one single policy for the whole India rather than the individual states. So that enablement is required to now boost it up. Rural incentives, again, we talked about the inclusion, and I think 5G would really get the full potential or leverage the full potential only if it is for the masses, for 1.3 billion population. And in that case, for some of the areas where the business case is not that great, maybe rural incentives would be required from the government to make sure that it is available for everyone. And of course, the cyber security, we know the enough threats which have been going around, and we want to make sure that every user, every person, whether it is from the lower strata, whether it is like privileged person like us, we are not getting into any kind of security threat, because if a couple of those incidents happen, it kind of backtracks us on this progress. So those would be my 5 mantras, which has to be done by the whole ecosystem, the whole kind of partnership between the various stakeholders, and no one single individual company or individual person would be able to kind of make it a success. And last but not the least, again, yeah, it's going to be supporting the environment, supporting the sustainability, and this is what we say, and my CEO says, no green without digital. That digital today has become the biggest tool to ensure that our sustainability is taken care of on this planet. And there we do in 2 ways. One, the more we digitize, so that's what we call it as handprint, that more we digitize, the more energy saving which we have. And that's with that, basically we improve on the sustainability for the whole earth. And then the second part of it is that energy efficiency features, liquid cooling and all that in our technology, we keep on bringing the consumption of energy which we use drastically down. So with these 2 things, one going up, second going down, it's basically our objective to make it green and sustainable. So that's kind of the Nokia motto. We have been, as I said, very successful with the 4G rollouts and with the 4G connectivity which we have provided across the horizon, and we will continue to be having that strength for India going forward. Thank you very much.